Assassins, Gargudon here, and welcome back to another episode of Rally the Creed here on The Ones Who Came Before. Joining me today is my good friend and returning community member, Armin, also known as Mentor Captures, who we have had on the channel some years ago, but it's great to have you back, man. So first, to those who might be unfamiliar with you and your content, tell a little bit about yourself.
Actually, I started with visual photography and not AC, surprisingly. It was Far Cry 5, I guess.
Ooh, great game.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been finally playing it actually, like last half year's time, and fucking masterpiece.
It's actually one of my favorites as well. You know, the villain also, especially the villain.
Probably like maybe the best like fictional villain antagonist is probably a better word
Actually, my favorite is
I've ever.
Cesare from Brotherhood.
Oh, Cesare. I'm actually
Yeah.
when we're recording this, I'm actually doing a replay of Brotherhood 2 at the moment.
Oh,
I mean, I'm personally more of a Rodrigo guy, just in terms of his
no.
character and character development and like personal, nemesis beef with Ezio.
Yeah. Yeah, that also goes goes to a long way, you know, with Rodrigo. But Cesare, like the charisma, the sinister, you know, I really like that guy.
Sanity.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
also very good to replay the Brotherhood. I was actually playing Revelations last night.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I was replaying Revelations a few months ago,
Mhm.
and then like I decided last month to start a replay of AC2, and then I was like, you can't really finish this story without also doing Brotherhood,
Yeah.
as that is basically Assassin's Creed 2 2. So yeah.
You know, it's actually an interesting story for me. I was about to play the second game, like Assassin's Creed 2, but I had some difficulties with it. There was a bug, like I couldn't continue more than two sequences like that. Yeah. Then I started playing all the entries until a Black Flag. Then I came back and played the AC2.
Oh, that's cool. There's just
Yeah.
like I don't really know how to describe it, but there's just something classic about AC2. Like even if it isn't
Yeah.
my favorite, like gameplay wise and stuff, there's just something classic about it. Um, it's a bloody masterpiece. Um, but you mentioned Far Cry 5 there before. Like the funny thing is, I played Far Cry 3, which is like the iconic one, like almost 10 years ago
Yeah.
now. I always wanted to keep going, but I just never did until like a year ago. I played 4, then I replayed 3. I've done 5, and at the moment I'm doing 6, and bloody great
Oh,
for
I
me.
haven't six yet. I haven't played the six
It's
yet.
it's decent so far. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but Far Cry is just a bloody great franchise, and 5 is
Yeah, indeed.
amazing. Like the gameplay, as you said, the Seed family as
Yeah.
antagonists, the just the overall open world, like the Big Sky country of Montana, fucking beautiful.
And the soundtrack. The
Oh,
soundtrack is also good.
I
Yeah.
mean, I never thought songs about the world collapsing could be such a bop. Yeah.
You know, the ending was
Oh,
like really
great collapse.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Uh,
actually something.
yeah. Bloody great game in general.
Yeah.
But you said you kind of started your photography journey with that game. That's so
Yeah, yeah.
the game just turned 6.
I remember like the official page of Far Cry.
Yeah.
They reposted some of my stuff, and that was like
Oh,
something, you know, in
that's
the
cool.
beginning, and I was really motivated.
Oh,
And the reason
sure.
I actually created mental captures was the connection between players and the devs in the Ubisoft. You know, like they really respect, you know, the virtual photography and this stuff. So I was really motivated.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And then I started slowly, you know, coming into AC as a community in Instagram. And yeah, that went actually slowly.
Were you playing AC before Far Cry, or was it kind of
Yeah.
okay? Yeah, for sure. But it
You know,
was
I
just
actually grew up with AC. Like the first AC I played was the AC1, 2007. I was like 7 or 8. It was illegal to play that in that age.
yeah. Oh, for sure. I totally
Yeah.
get that. But you're right, in general, like in-game photography is something that has absolutely exploded in recent
Yeah,
years, and it's something that's in every game now. I don't know if you
yeah,
played that, but I will say it's another thing that Rockstar Games invented with GTA 5, technically invented back in the day, or at least made it cool, like really made it accessible with the Snapmatic app in that game. And then
yeah.
because Rockstar sets the tone basically for open world gaming, sets the standards. So then, of course, within the next few years, everyone was doing it. From you know,
Actually, that started with the smartphones in the game. Like you could
yeah,
take pictures with the
exactly.
smartphones. Then it went to Rockstar Studios, I guess. They
Yeah,
added a
the
mode.
editor.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing with the photo mode. To those of you who don't know, you don't know the struggle of having to like wait an in-game day just to get the lighting right, just to get the cars going right, go through 50 versions of a photo just to get the timing right. There's no freeze framing anything.
Yeah, I
um,
actually have this problem with the classic games. Like I literally wait with Ezio like for a day to get a good view or a good lighting, and I was
yeah,
like, yeah, listening to the soundtrack, and that's good. That's something.
yeah. But it was the humble beginnings, and
Yeah.
there is something fun to it, just doing it differently, I suppose. And then like you say, the Rockstar editor came along, making everything just way cooler. Um,
They're always like this. Like they
yeah,
set a new boundary in gaming. Always.
that's another thing. Red Dead Redemption 2, which came out a few years later, it also started with just an in-game camera there.
Yeah.
And we didn't have and then like a year later, a photo mode like that came, so you can
Mm.
also freeze frame and get different angles, and which was pretty cool for getting like
Red Dead is also a
action
very
packed
beautiful
shots.
game.
Was that?
Red Dead Redemption 2 is also a very beautiful game, like spectacular
Yeah,
landscapes.
another one of probably
Arthur Morgan himself.
the best games ever, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but
totally agree.
yeah, but like we were saying, it was there. Like, uh, I mean, some people would say that gaming photography technically started with like the map editor in Halo, like almost 20 years ago. Which I know what they're talking about, but I never really played that stuff to maybe have a
Yeah, me
full
too.
opinion on it. Um, but let's say that Rockstar kind of they modernized it,
Yeah.
mainstreamed it, and then in the following years everyone was doing it in
I
every
actually
game.
can't remember the first game that it had a real functional photo mode. I think it was Uncharted 4. I don't know. Or Last of Us. I think it was the
Mm,
Last of Us.
that could be the remaster version or the original.
The remaster version.
Oh yeah, for sure. That would
Yeah.
probably make better sense chronologically. Um,
Yeah.
but no, for AC it started with Origins, which was very fresh, well
Yeah.
needed addition, and I can't help but think that like some of the older games, what would I give to like be able to like get freeze frame shots and action packed shots and just better shots than having to turn off the HUD and playing with the angles until you get it just right.
Exactly. Especially Unity. The actually
Unity and Syndicate
V,
especially.
I mean, like Memento Gallery, he really tried to bring a photo mode to Unity, but actually nobody listened. So he just
Oh,
went to PC and installed mods.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, because still, I will, in the Ezio games, I'll go into first person camera, get some shots if I see something
Landscapes, yeah.
black flag in that, I'll just turn off the HUD entirely and press the character up against the wall till
Hmm.
till they're out of the picture and play around with the angle till I get a good shot and then edit in
That's
post.
actually a challenging process, to
It
get
it
the
is,
good
and
angle.
and it's definitely restrictive in what kind of shots you can get, but
Yeah.
it also leaves you more satisfied with just getting something instead of like in Far Cry 5 just last night from when this is recorded, spending like 10 minutes trying to get the right shot.
I
Um,
actually had a problem last night with Mirage. I was
yeah.
capturing a shot and I was like not satisfied with the angle, even if it was in the photo mode. It was like, nah, it doesn't work. Like I had like around 10 minutes or 15 minutes in a single photo mode shot. So I actually captured 6 or 7 shots from a single like scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, being a an in-game photographer can be hard at points, but it's well worth it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, like I said, yeah, it's something that's just exploded everywhere, especially in the AC community. Like, just us, the ones who came before, we have a really, strong VP community on X and across other
Hmm.
socials. Just everyone sharing their shots, and
Yeah.
like you said, it's definitely a way to bring people together.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I remember it back from, like I said, like the Rockstar games. That was kind of days too. That was kind of how I got involved in gaming communities overall, was just sharing, in-game captures, getting associated with so many people, and then, that moved on to AC and such and such.
That actually happened to me as well. Like I didn't know a lot of people in the community, but this like virtual photography thing, it brought people to me and I like meet a lot of people.
For sure. I
Yeah.
just say that like we mentioned the early games before. If there was ever to be like a Black Flag remaster or something, like
Mhm.
we need like pumped up graphics and something to really capture the beauty of that world,
Exactly.
because it's so photogenic. And I know you're an advocate for the still remaining remaster of Assassin's Creed One. Um,
Yeah.
I imagine
Actually,
you would
Shells
do
is more at it
thousands
these
of
days.
Altair shots
Yeah. I
if that
mean,
ever was.
Shells is more at it these days. Like I don't do a lot of stuff.
Oh
She's
yeah,
doing it every week on Tuesdays.
that's right.
Hashtag remake AC1. I needed to say
I
that.
actually finally got. It only took me 16 years, but I actually finally got to play it. The original one some months ago. Like
Mhm.
finally being on sale. Um, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised. It's
Yeah.
definitely a very simple formula. And you could definitely see that there was a lot of like a lot of groundwork still to be laid, but the game works. And some of the stuff like story structure and stuff I've come to criticize with some of the newer games,
Hmm.
AC1 kind of pulled it off, oddly enough. That kind of more loosely structured story.
No, actually for its time, it was ahead of its time. Like it was a new kind of game, like a new kind of genre, a new like set in history. We had games set in history, like a Stronghold Crusades, that was a strategy game, or Prince of Persia. Those were the games. But like AC1, it captures a lot of new stuff. Like that Hidden Blade. We hadn't something like that before the release of AC1. And the
Absolutely.
history actually captured me a lot. Like back in the day, I was really in love with that, how it's like centered with history. Like it's really based on history and it's real history. It's like it's
Everyone
very
you killed
interesting.
was
Yeah.
a real person, supposed.
Yeah. Supposedly, or at least a portrait of a real person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone, I think, except like Al Mualim.
No, actually, Al-Malami is fiction. It's not fictional. It's actually real.
Actually, now that you say it, that's right.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
yeah,
Damn. Ubisoft knows their stuff. Um, but no, like I said, I that kind of more loose structure just kind of worked in that game. Like in the sense that you basically just need to kill all these people in these different
yeah.
cities. How you do it is up to you, and you know, finding out where they are, do it in any order. But it kind of worked.
Like that mission structures doesn't work today like that. Like it's really
No, no,
repetitive.
and
But
that's
the
and that's where
assassination sequences were something unique.
yeah, absolutely. And like you said, that wouldn't really work today. And that's where I've come to criticize
Mhm.
where Origins really put me off, and kind of like this feels like a downgrade from the memory sequences of earlier games and such. Like there
Actually, I like the memory sequence, the confession sequences of Bayek. Like the acting is amazing.
for sure.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. Now overall, AC1 was yeah. I mean, it started everything, and
yeah.
I mean, it would. I mean, I don't know if we'll get a remaster. It's the only
No,
one
I
that
don't think
needs
so.
to be remastered of all the old games, and
Yeah,
I want to say
literally.
it's bound to happen someday. But
No, actually, there was a report on that they are working on two remakes or remasters. One of them supposedly Black Flag, and the other one we don't have any idea. But I guess it's like AC1, like it has to be AC1.
yeah, well, we'll see what happens, I suppose. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, we can always come back to this whole thing if there's anything we missed. But also with what we had talked about outside of this, I also wanted to talk with you about the music of Assassin's Creed because it
yeah,
feels like we really have a common interest in that.
exactly.
And why not start off with like what would you consider your favorite AC soundtracks?
That's actually a hard question to answer. Like, in my opinion, every entry in the franchise, even the ones I like the least, they all have the like best soundtracks. Like their most good advantage in every entry is the soundtrack. Like literally every soundtrack is a rock. It's hit. And like my favorite, I kind of like the Viking music, so Valhalla is one of them. I also like Mirage soundtracks. That's something. Ezio Trilogy, Special Revelations. That's just something. Exactly. Chef's
Yeah.
kiss.
I mean, the
Yeah.
AC2 soundtrack, like I said, also replaying the game recently, just
Mm.
out of this
That
world.
just started everything. Like every single entry has an Ezio's family soundtrack based on
I
it.
I want to say that track is. I'm kind of getting tired of that one, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
Like
Also,
it's
like
not
fan
working.
compositions, like AC fan themes. Why is it, you use another melody or write your own? Uh, with my own like um AC inspired tracks, I've said to myself,
Yeah,
I can use melodies from existing tracks, but I'm not using
not
Ezio's fan
Ezio's
theme.
family.
I will use like the sync theme from AC2. I will use Black Flag's main theme. I will use something from AC3, but I will not use that one because
That's
everyone else
just
has already
so
done it.
overused.
It is, I suppose.
Yeah,
There were, yeah, there's a few games which avoided using it for its main theme. Um, and those have become some of the best, like the Black Flag theme. Um,
yeah.
but
Black Flag soundtracks are also
by Brian
very
Tyler.
good.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to say Black Flag and AC2. They're my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I just the overall vibe of AC2 soundtrack, that Jesper Kid did, there's just something
Yeah.
so remarkable about it. It really sets a tone. It's really a vibe. Really captures that like gloom of the game. Um, because that is something that I was like properly reminded of, especially towards the beginning of AC2. Is you kind of forget like how dark a tone the game begins on.
Exactly. Like
Um,
everything falls apart at the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, you think, oh, Renaissance Italy, flowers, girls, art,
Yeah,
progress,
dancing
science. But there's literally like, dark clouds over Florence. And yeah, it's not
in
long
that famous
before,
scene.
oh, my family's dead. And now I'm setting out across
Yeah.
the land to kill everyone who was involved. Um,
Actually, they made a real interesting character with that story. Like three games following a single character's story. Like Ezio was really rich with story.
we need to do another like Ezio retrospective, Ezio trilogy retrospective later on
Exactly.
because that trilogy is just more fresh in my mind now. So I could do it.
Firstly, we need
Yeah,
a really strong character for that. Like
absolutely,
Ezio really had the charisma.
absolutely. He's the
Yeah,
goat.
he
But
really is the good.
with the soundtrack, there is just something so interesting about it in the sense that like you think Renaissance, right? but a
Hmm.
lot of the soundtrack isn't really based on those sounds, like those organic, like Italian instruments, like strings and whatever the stringed Italian version of guitar is called. There's a
Yeah,
lot of electronics and a lot of like ambience and even like some metal elements and stuff, which you can say is kind of odd, but it really works. And I always say like all the
it really worked.
and that's also like a strong fundament for my own tracks. All that like glitchy ambience is kind of like what symbolizes the animus.
Exactly.
Um, there's just a lot of the tracks there just have such a good vibe, from the there's a lot of choir elements, like church choir elements, which really plays into the Renaissance setting really
I
well.
actually have the feeling that you use this glitchy stuff on the track Easter game that you sent it to me. It was like I really liked it how it goes, and I was waiting for the rise, and the rise was surprisingly really good that I used it in
I
the
appreciate it.
video. Yeah, I really like the vibe of it.
Yeah, some of those sounds are just like, you know, stuff I'll throw together in a synth. Some of it is even just going into a mic and then adding a bunch of effects to it.
Yeah, but when it comes together, actually, it's transforms into something really, yeah,
Yeah. That all that like those electronic elements, like I said, is just something to kind of say symbolize that this is, after all, just a simulation. Kind of play the anime
exactly.
to it and all that.
Yeah.
I think some of my favorites. I don't know how well you remember them, but some of my favorite tracks from AC2 would obviously be like Leonardo's Inventions. Everyone
Hmm.
remembers walking around Monteriggioni to that.
Yeah.
Uh, like, kind of has
He's
a really
actually
gentle.
still my favorite historical figure in like,
Oh, Leonardo,
yeah.
of course. Um,
Leonardo da Vinci.
yeah, great guy.
Yeah.
Um, there's something gentle about that track, but also something kind of ominous that really also captures the vibe of the game and much
Exactly, the
as well as
ominous.
the approaching target. I don't know if you remember those. Just like 6, 8 minutes, really just pure ambience made for the
And his
stealth.
rooftops.
And Sanctuary is another one of my favorites. Usually plays
Ah,
when you're walking around Venice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually like that as well.
And I'm actually working on a cover of that right now, Wetlands Combat. I don't know if you remember that
Oh,
one.
okay.
It's kind of like a more rock like tune,
Mm-hmm.
but something intense about it. And what I've been fascinated is how many little layers there are. Like there's so
Mm-hmm.
many little small sounds and layers and everything that really makes it come together. Um, the
Yeah,
following
can't wait
Brotherhood
for that.
soundtrack, I would say it isn't as memorable, but it's very similar to AC2 stylistically.
Mhm. And what is that?
The Brotherhood soundtrack, is very
Ah,
similar to AC2, even if I didn't find it as memorable.
actually, Brotherhood, I guess, is that like closest opening to a game's ending. Like it's literally after AC2. We didn't have anything like that in the continuing entries in the series. Like it's just Brotherhood that starts off right after AC2 in
Yeah,
that sanctuary in Rome.
yeah, great
Yeah,
ending to AC2. Probably
exactly.
like what remains the best final mission in any of the games. Um,
Yeah. But I
Brotherhood.
guess I still question myself that why didn't he kill Rodrigo?
Yeah, I guess we can
Like
cover it
why?
briefly, but that's like a discussion in itself.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
feel like also with what Machiavelli says, we're sure to suffer for it.
Mm,
I'm not sure. Like killing Rodrigo wouldn't have made a difference. Like, Ezio showed Rodrigo that you are not the prophet. You're not supposed to open this vault. And Rodrigo world shatters. Oh well, 30 years worth of nothing. Um,
exactly.
and really, Brotherhood, that's all Cesare. Like Rodrigo is rendered powerless. Um,
Yeah. It
and
was
all
all Cesare
everything,
in
the
Brotherhood.
attack on Monteriggioni, the tyranny in Rome, that's all Cesare.
You know, that actually broke my heart. Like you literally pay your ass off in AC2 to rebuild Montergioni, and then in Brotherhood they like bring it to
Yeah.
ashes.
Um, but yeah, I don't think, yeah, killing Rodrigo wouldn't have made any difference. Rodrigo
I
is
guess it could even make it worse.
maybe. I mean, it was Cesare's plan all along. So, and
Yeah.
Cesare's delusions and, you know, quest for power would have been there
Hmm.
regardless. So,
Exactly.
so, yeah, killing Rodrigo wouldn't have meant anything, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, I think just with the soundtracks in the Ezio trilogy, there, the Revelations was had some really like standout tracks, but it did
Yeah.
definitely depart a bit from the style of the previous two games, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. You know, like it's actually a really like lots of violin in it.
Yeah, a lot
If
of,
I
I suppose,
Yeah.
Eastern instruments and such. My
Yeah.
favorite, I think that track is Istanbul. Beautiful track.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
really great, like sunset track, like on the top of the Galata Tower. Just
That's actually a remarkable scene. Like the
yeah,
whole scene.
yeah. The parts of that map are really great, even if it is like a little more gray, a little smaller than Rome and what we've been used to
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, but you mentioned Black Flag. Black Flag soundtrack is just yeah, the best one.
Yeah.
Brian Tyler is also just such a great composer who's done so many AAA movies as well. If you've seen those, his work on Fast and Furious is some of his other best work.
You might not believe it, but I actually haven't seen lots of Fast and Furious.
I don't blame you. I mean, I watched them way later than I should too, but
Oh, okay.
they're the kind of movies which are just fun, casual action movies, just like 2 hours of just
Exactly.
fun action. Um,
Exactly.
but there are some tracks in those films that are great. Kind of have some of the same. One thing that Brian Tyler's really good at is actually kind of capturing that like middle and Southern American feel, kind of that like Latin vibe, which comes
Yeah.
across a lot on Black Flag soundtrack, classical guitar, Havana, those Spanish colonies. And there are some tracks in Fast and Furious which are very similar, like Latin
Mhm.
culture being a big part of those films too.
I really love that songs that the ship crews actually sang.
Oh, the sea shanties. Yeah, some
Yeah,
of them
yeah,
are great.
yeah.
There is someone you should check out. He's like an Irish composer singer, Colin
Mm-hmm.
Guinness. You should check out some of his covers of some of the sea shanties. Really
Oh.
lively Irish um feel to
Irish is
them.
actually a hard accent to understand.
Was that?
It's Irish is a hard accent to actually understand it.
What are you talking about, lad? A white
See?
shirt. It's a Guinness shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lovely Irish. And
Scottish is
some of the
worse
sea
actually, but Irish
shanty.
is good.
What's that?
Scottish is actually worse to understand. Like I
I
didn't
don't know about
understand.
that, lad. It can be
See?
like the
I actually
real
didn't understand anything.
Scottish can be difficult to understand for sure. Nah, probably best to cut this off before I offend anyone else. But no, like you said, the sea shanties great, and a lot of the tavern songs, the parting
Yeah.
glass, such a beautiful song.
I
The
really
end
love
song.
the vibes of those. Like it's really, really
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
I here's the health to the company. If you remember that one, is a really great one.
I actually don't.
Oh, it's a tavern song.
Uh-huh.
There was like kind of there were I think some of them might have been available as both, but there were the tavern ones, and then there were also the the sea shanties. What was it? Lowlands Away and Billy Riley and all those great ones. Sailing the open waters and just hearing the your
Yeah.
crew
I sometimes like
feeling
I did
lively.
use fast traveling system just to hear them song.
Yeah, and there's also just something about sailing the open waters. Like
Hmm.
just feel the breeze, watch the sunset, watch the sunrise, and
Yeah,
with every little nook and cranny you sail by.
exactly. AC3 also had some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
That's actually the most
AC3 is.
underrated game in the whole franchise. Like everybody like hates it
Yeah,
or just
I mean,
doesn't
I
like
want
it.
to say that I kind of follow that it is underrated in the sense that it's far from as terrible as some would apparently make it out to be. Um,
Yeah,
but then again, it isn't perhaps the most memorable one either, is what I'll say. Even though gameplay inside is really fun.
exactly. Like it's just the base of Black Flag. Like Black Flag comes from AC3, the
Yeah,
gameplay of the combat and stuff.
yeah. I mean, yeah. AC3 set the tone for the whole naval combat, and then Black Flag
Exactly.
just upgraded that and made it better than it could have ever been. Did you think that AC3 had some like memorable music work as well, or?
Yeah, I actually can't remember the soundtracks, but I remember using them in creating some stuff back then. It's one of them is the main theme. I don't exactly remember the name of the track, but
I think it was just called AC3 main theme.
yeah, exactly. That's yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And there were some Native American musics.
For
Yeah, those
sure.
were good. Yeah.
Absolutely. I
And I
really
think
enjoyed
it's
some of the.
Laurent Tafel, I guess,
What's
the
that?
composer.
Yeah,
Laurent
Lauren
Tafel?
Duff. That's right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, AC3 had some cool work, some of the native stuff, as you say, really tranquil vibe with the flute and um in other things, incorporating some Western stuff into that and
Yeah.
is
That
really
was
cool.
new, like
Absolutely. But yeah, I think ultimately when it comes to it, like, I love just checking out music from any game. Rogue had some really great soundtrack work as well.
yeah,
I want to
yeah.
say Rogue is more underrated than AC3 actually.
I
It's
completely
a
agree.
great story and the world is just damn beautiful.
I actually replayed it before I closed Mentor Captures for a
Oh,
year,
really?
like
That's
a
cool.
year ago. I
Yeah.
replayed it for the second time, and actually it synced better than it synced years ago, and I like kindly like it right now. It was my one of my least favorite games, but now I just like that's a good
Everything
game.
about Rogue is just brilliant.
Yeah, the
Matter of
story,
fact,
especially the story.
absolutely. We've covered that multiple times before.
Exactly. Actually, our previous podcast, I guess it was about Rogue.
Yeah, it was kind of about that, the one we did
Yeah,
some years back now. Um, yeah, Rogue is just a great game, and what I really liked
exactly.
about some of those were like kind of some of the loading themes. Actually, it sounds like also with what I've made myself, there's a lot of like reverse pitched up sounds in there, just to really
Yeah,
create kind of like an atmosphere. Basically you'll record whatever. You'll record like a guitar strum, dun. You'll reverse it, you'll pitch it up a bit, add some effects, and you get this thing that sounds unrecognizable, but
yeah.
it's in fact a guitar, but it sounds just really, really vibey and cosmic like.
Actually, now that we are talking about the soundtracks, have you gone to the AC Symphony concerts?
I know some of my teammates have in London, but I have actually never gotten the chance.
Yeah,
There are definitely some things that could be cool to see performed live.
exactly.
There have also been, maybe I can put it in the description or something. I think it was the Swedish National Orchestra at one point. They actually
Mm-hmm.
did like the Black Flag theme, which like got praise from Brian Tyler himself,
Oh,
and really great composition.
that's
And
good.
that theme is great. The whole Black
Exactly.
Flag thing is really great. Like AC2, it also had that thing that you'd think, how does electronics and stuff play into the golden age of piracy at all? Uh, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But it was really ambient focused, and all of that just worked. Perfectly captured the vibe of running around Kingston at sunset, and the animals as well, and thought of.
Actually, that's for every game. Like the music they compose for every entry in the franchise really captures the atmosphere and the vibe of the time. Like it's actually a very good advantage of every game. Like as I said before, it's just in my opinion, one of the best features about every AC game is the music, and of course the environment they recreate. Like every game has a very nice environment, beautiful, like history accurate, everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, with the Black Flag thing, there was a lot. There are a lot of electronics in there. Um,
Hmm.
but as I said earlier, the real gems are also the really Spanish sounding ones, the real like kind of Latin sounding ones, and a lot of the classical guitar in there, which, like you say, the setting and playing into that perfectly captures the setting and the tone and time of all the Spanish culture.
Exactly. Yeah,
And classical guitar alone just sounds beautiful
indeed.
for like single string and lead melodies and stuff.
Yeah,
Um, and some of the and other than that, also you mentioned the sea shanties and stuff. Another thing that's kind of an influence forward was kind of yeah, it's like Celtic music, traditional Irish and Scottish and stuff.
exactly. Like we saw it in Valhalla as well, the
Yeah,
sea shanties in Valhalla, and I like them like more because I just love Viking music and stuff. So I really like love that more.
it sounds really cinematic to say the least.
Yeah.
Definitely has like a very grand vibe and scale to it. Now, there's just so many great tracks from Black Flag. Maybe you don't remember the names, but In the Midst, The Ends of the Earth, the British
Mhm.
Empire, the Spanish Empire, the main theme, of course, and Secrets of the Maya. Just all of them. In general, yeah, the Black Flag soundtrack is just stellar. So is much of the. I suppose if you were to capture like the music of AC in a few words, maybe say like cinematic, ambient,
Cinematic,
and glitchy,
ambient,
I would say.
glitch. Yeah,
Like I said, that's why I am. That is the fundament of like my own AC inspired tracks. Um,
yeah.
there are also some like, especially if you keep up with that at all in like modern rock. There's a lot of bands who have kind of gone to the same, like a lot of electronics, a lot of ambient stuff that sounds
Mhm.
very glitchcore like. If you're
You
familiar
mean
with
they're like inspired by AC soundtracks?
it's kind of hard to say whether it's that specifically. I think they're just inspired by other bands
Mm-hmm.
who were around like 20 years ago who may have been inspired by like early video game stuff. There
Yeah.
is, if you know his name, he's like a big time like game composer, Mick Gordon. Are you familiar with that name? Did the
No,
soundtrack on Doom is one of his
it
most notable
doesn't.
works.
Oh, Doom.
He did those. He's famous for those, and then he's famous for just making all these like weird sounds. I think I heard once that he went to like a junkyard actually, and was just like, I'm gonna record sounds, just like find whatever I can, and then turn it into something cool. At one point, he even sampled a chainsaw, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
that's crazy.
sound design like that, I love it. Like taking the most random ass sound
Hmm.
and then turning it into something unrecognizable, but that sounds really cool.
Like Doom's music is really chaotic. Like you're ripping
Yeah,
apart
that sounds like
alien
Mick Gordon.
monsters. Yeah, and it really captures the vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Are you familiar by any chance with the band Bring Me the Horizon?
The sound is like close.
They had did a track with Mick Gordon there, uh,
Mm-hmm.
specifically, but other than that, they've kind of they're one of the biggest like bands of modern times. But they've
Mm-hmm.
very much set the standard for like that whole glitchy universe, also inspired by the likes of Linkin Park and such from over 20 years ago.
Ah, Linkin Park is
Actually,
also
my
very
favorite
nice.
album of theirs actually has a lot of AC2 vibes to it. Especially
Oh.
the album cover has like a whole Renaissance theme, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like cinematic sequences on it and stuff that feels like something straight out of AC2 with the glitchiness, with the strings, with the acoustic guitars, and even like the metal distorted riffs.
I actually really love the music in the main menus or the maps when you use it.
Yeah,
Like
like
it's
the
very,
pause
yeah,
themes.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Those
Those are
are also good.
yeah, just really simple stuff looped, but really sets its
Yeah.
Rogue would probably be my favorite there I mentioned. Really tranquil, really peaceful,
Hmm.
really ambient.
Have you played Mirage?
I have not yet actually, but it's on my list.
Hmm. The soundtracks there is actually quite amazing and magical. Like it's mixed of Middle Eastern stuff, and it really
I read up on the
maybe
whole
it's for
thing.
me. Like I'm in Middle East, like maybe
Yeah,
it's
that's the thing.
special for me, but it's like yeah, something
I
really
suppose that
amazing.
makes me think. East again. There does that have your approval for sounding like Eastern enough in the right
Yeah.
ways?
It's actually Eastern with like electronic stuff, as you mentioned,
Yeah,
and it's like a combination of East and West. It's not Eastern, not West like USA. I mean Europe. It's
yeah.
something in between.
That was very much from what I remember reading the guy who composed Mirage's soundtrack, Brendan Onglead.
Mhm.
That was very
Yeah.
much his goal because he's from what I know been like a touring DJ or something for a lot of years actually.
Hmm.
And then he sought the help of I think it was like a music professor who
Hmm.
like specializes in Eastern stuff, and they joined forces, and their goal was that yeah fuse West with East. And today,
There are also
1,200 years ago,
composers in the streets of Baghdad in Mirage, like they sing songs play instruments,
like
and those
troubadours.
songs are quite unique and Middle Eastern type. And I sometimes like with Basim, I just wait and listen to the songs in the streets.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's
Kind of
really
like the
cool.
tavern songs in Black Flag there,
Yeah, exactly.
where you'll just wait around
And
and
they
just
are
be,
not
I wanna
and
hear
they're
this
not
one.
annoying like the guitars in Ezio trilogy, the guitarists who followed you for coin. They are not like them. They were annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes me think. You remember that mission in Revelations where Ezio dresses
Oh
up
yeah,
like a
yeah.
troubadour, and basically his life
Yeah.
story.
He actually broke the guitar on someone's head, if I
Yeah.
recall correctly.
Ezio is a man of many talents: guitar, French, the ladies, everything.
Flirt,
Yeah.
flirt.
Um, I that's the last thing I was just curious because
Mhm,
that is something that's become one of my new favorite movies easily,
mhm.
where some of the soundtrack also has that AC2 vibe to it. Are you familiar with Pan's Labyrinth?
No.
Amazing film by Guillermo del Toro. Maybe you know him.
Oh, Guillermo, no, I haven't seen it.
Oh, bro, you need to watch that film. It's
Oh.
yeah, it's probably his best film and just praised by everyone. It's from 2006 and it's actually fully in Spanish, believe it or not.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
No, but it's just amazing. It's a film I was so intrigued by ever since I first heard of it, like almost 12 years ago. But it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until like last year I finally got to watch it, and I rewatched it just the other night, and amazing film.
The last film I watched was like Oppenheimer.
Which one is that?
Oppenheimer.
Oh, Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it was good, but I don't know. It
It's
was kind of
yeah,
overrated. I mean,
yeah,
I would say
exactly. I
there are
agree.
other works of Nolan's which deserved all the praise.
Exactly. Like, The Dark Knight, Interstellar,
The Dark Knight Rises.
Inception.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were better titles to give him an Oscar. But, it's like something, a political movie. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
that
the
works.
formula for Oscars
Oscar.
nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Oppenheimer was decent. What was it? It
I
was
like the soundtrack.
it was Ludwig Göransson, I believe, who made that, who's
Yeah.
exploded in recent years, Black Panther, The Mandalorian, this,
Hmm.
everything. And I
They
hope
didn't
to
give
see
him an Oscar,
Nolan
did
and
they?
what's that?
They didn't give him an Oscar, did they?
I don't think so. I don't really
Yeah,
follow
yeah.
the Oscars any longer, so what do I know?
Mhm.
But I would love to see Nolan and Hans Zimmer work together again. Hans Zimmer is
Exactly.
another one
Me
of the
too, me
biggest
too.
composers of all time and has done, almost all of Nolan's work.
Yeah. Hans Zimmer is really brilliant, like with the
Amazing.
soundtracks stuff. And he like Nolan tells him so little and he like
It's
composes something.
just takes like a
Yeah.
sentence and turns it into the most epic 8-minute track.
Like that meme that he's playing a piano and the piano is on the fire. Have you seen that meme?
Yeah, 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 of course.
Yeah.
Some people
He's
say
that.
Interstellar, that's him falling asleep on his organ.
Yeah.
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 Nah, there is a magic to that, and I would actually love to try and do that. Take challenge my own composing skills. Would be that have a specific scenario and just capture the vibe of that. Whether instead of just off the top of my head, it doesn't really have to go with anything, but I just make whatever comes to mind.
Did the guys at Assassin's Creed reach you out for the tracks you made?
That was a completely just like my own creation. I always wanted to do.
No, I mean, like, did they reach you out for what you did? Like,
Oh no, it's
supporting?
just completely my own fan project.
Uh, okay.
Um, would be cool to get in touch with them though,
Yeah,
hear it
exactly.
or do something.
Yeah,
Um, no, it was just completely like different stuff that I had just been writing, playing and stuff. I think, oh, this could make for a cool fan project inspired by AC, and then as I got into production and such, basically the whole thing took shape.
the guys at Quebec had something called Fan of the Month, if you remember.
Hmm, maybe.
They would like present a fan every month. Like they would interview with them, like what's your favorite game? What do you do from when? Have you played our games? Stuff, such stuff. And they reached me out. Like,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, I guess it was 2020. Yeah, I was fan of the month and they like interviewed with me and they were good guys.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Overall, I mean, I kind of want to, I suppose, as it is one of the smaller parts of the community, I want to perhaps try and gather like the composers of the community because out there are some amazing like fan made themes, either if that's like
exactly.
World War II or Japan or the Wild West or something.
Hmm.
It could be cool for like everyone to gather. Maybe we work together and stuff or
That
something.
would be a like interesting goal, like to gather composers from the community,
Yeah,
that's
we
really
we
good.
make something epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Other than that, I think we've covered everything that I wanted to cover. We've had a good talk about everything.
Yeah.
And we could probably keep going about the soundtracks for forever.
Forever, exactly.
I want to say the last thing I wanted to mention that earlier is that it isn't one I've really come back to, but one that kind of stood out in a fun way was Syndicate, in the sense that it wasn't just tracks any longer, but there were literal songs, kind of
Yeah.
goofy, like circus-like songs to kind of
Mm.
capture, yeah, the aesthetic of Victorian London there. If you
You
remember
know,
Underground, that was a pretty that was like
oh,
a song.
I exactly wanted to mention the underground. The underground was like something.
Yeah.
I
Played
really
during
love
the
the track.
ending.
Yeah, on that cinematic ending, it
Yeah.
was really beautifully picked. And like Syndicate has a lot of more humor than other entries in the game. Like the humor
Yeah.
between the twins. It's not one of my favorites, like Syndicate. I don't
Syndicate
really
is
like.
easily my second favorite.
Ah.
But there was a tone to it, like it's probably the most like lively feeling AC map, I want to say.
Oh, yeah.
There's it's very modern. There's the lights and the glamour of London.
They're really living. If you go to the parks, you see people playing with each other, like playing instruments, eating like tea, drinking tea,
Yeah,
sorry.
very
Drinking
British.
tea. Yeah,
And
very
also,
British, exactly.
as London's become my second home in the last like year
Yeah.
and a half,
Mhm.
playing Syndicate just hits different now.
Exactly.
It's like, oh,
I
that's
really love how
home.
they captured London. Like London is also one of my favorite cities. Like it's really alive and stuff, and they really captured it really cool.
Absolutely, they did. I
Yeah.
mean, some things have surely changed since
Surely.
chimneys and smoke. But the landmarks that are there today still they've done a really good job at recreating.
Yeah. They
Absolutely.
actually they always like do a really good job on recreating landmarks and cities. Like,
You
and they
check out
are they're taking advantages of like remaking stuff and like they made a mode discovery too.
you should check out some of the articles we've done and kind of comparing, in-game cities to their real life counterparts.
You guys did that?
Yeah, we've I did one for London, and then my
Uh-huh.
teammate Yaz did one for Florence, and
Oh,
we're looking to do a few more for like Italy, the cities in Italy, and I could probably cook up a London part two and such.
Florence was like really beautiful.
Beautiful city. Yeah,
Beautiful. It still is, actually.
yeah, and there's Rome too, of course, which I'd say I prefer Florence actually.
No, I prefer Rome.
It's
No,
like
actually,
England.
I prefer Venice. Venice is the best.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I haven't been
Yeah,
there in real life actually, but people say
same.
it's great.
Yeah, it's actually a very magical city. Like, floating on water, you know, that's
I
something.
can imagine.
Yeah.
But it's just from like many years ago, also when like I cared about traveling, and it was like not something we took for granted with everything in recent years. Like there was just a magic to Florence, like compared to Rome. Like the fact that there's really no traffic in the center city, and kind of it keeps that
Yeah.
Renaissance feel of it, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah, I get what you say.
Sure.
It's still in its old shapes, like sidewalks, like everything, like the buildings. What is the name of that big building in the center of Florence?
That's the Campanile di Giotto, the
Uh,
bell tower,
Good
right? The
accent.
one right next to the Duomo, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's that one.
That's actually I have so many memories with it, even though I haven't went there.
Yeah, climbing to the very top and diving 80 meters
Yeah,
into a centimeter of hay,
yeah. And
unscratched.
like nothing happens. Not a single scratch.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually had a weird, like, I want to say almost nightmare the other night that I decided to free climb the Big Ben or such, and it was not as fun as our in-game characters make it look.
Yeah. Like in Syndicate, you had something like Bat Claw for Batman, like you
Yeah, the
with
rogue
the
launcher,
grapple. Yeah, yeah,
that was fun. Just
yeah.
yeah, zip lining across the rooftops and all that.
It was really
Oh
fun,
right,
especially top of the like Big Ben, coming down from the Big
yeah,
Ben with those like this.
yeah.
Yeah,
Launching yourself to the top and then jumping off.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. We should probably stop ourselves before we keep this going for 3 more hours
Eternity
easily.
for eternity.
Yeah. But unless you have anything
Yeah.
to add, I think this has been a really good take. It's been a lot of fun to have you back.
Yeah, same for me. It's actually always good to talk to you about stuff. It's really like I really like it.
It's a lot of fun too, and always
And
looking back
looking forward to more actually.
on the channel. Yeah, for sure. We'll
Yeah,
happily
I'm
have you
always
back.
up to it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Other than that, that sums it up for another episode of
Hmm.
Rally the Creed here. I hope all of you enjoyed listening to it. And until the next episodes come out, stay safe, assassins, and keep the community what it is. And make sure to follow Armin's content. You can find the link down below.
Thank you.
Very cinematic, action packed gameplay, mostly nowadays.
Yeah.
And of course, make sure to subscribe for more episodes and follow us everywhere, the ones who came before here. Other than that, see you later, assassins. Peace.